everyone. This is Wald Amberstone from the Tarot School, and you're listening to 7 Minutes with Carolyn Cushing. Welcome, Carolyn.
I'm excited to be here. Gets me thinking about Reader Studio.
Well, I'm glad you're here, too. Actually, we're really glad that you're going to be joining us again. You've been with us many times, and you have served a very, very useful and important function for us and for the people who are there. You lead meditations in the morning at the Reader Studio, and you make that whole process begin. Today begins with you in many ways, and your expertise in that regard is much, much appreciated. So we're very excited that you will be doing that again for us at Reader Studio in 2014. But I have a question for you.
Yes.
You're a tarot reader. You've been doing it for a long time. You've led meditation groups at the Reader Studio for years, and you describe yourself essentially as a passionate change maker and a spiritual guide. A very interesting set of descriptions. And based on that description of yourself, I have 3 questions that I'd like to ask you. They're all kind of related in an interesting way, and I am really curious to hear your answer.
Okay.
First, what do you actually mean when you say spiritual? People have different sensibilities with regard to that, and I'm curious about yours. And the second question I have for you is, do you think people really change? There are differences of opinion about that. And lastly, how is it that tarot is spiritual? And how does it create change from your perspective?
Okay, these are juicy, intertwined. I'll start with that word spiritual. I'm glad you've asked this. When I use that word, and when many other people use the word spiritual, kind of trying to invoke a connection to something greater than yourself, greater than the one. And of course, that greater than yourself has many names. The divine, the universe, the goddess, your Buddha nature, and so on and so on. It's really an unnameable reality. But we use shorthand of spiritual to trying to make that connection. But in the past couple of years, I've kind of become dissatisfied with the word spiritual, but I haven't come up with a better one, so it's still there. But the spirit in spiritual is sometimes too limiting because the greater than doesn't exist only in the realm of spirit. One of the ways that I connect with the greater than myself is through nature, through the earth. There are spiritual traditions that actually have a strand of disdain for the earth. Spirit can seem opposed to the earth. But that leads me back to my great appreciation of the tarot as a spiritual teaching tool, using that shorthand, or a tool that helps connect you to the greater than, because the tarot includes earth and spirit. It includes the emotions and the mind. And the 22 cards of the major arcana show a spiritual journey that's called the Fool's Journey. To be spiritual is to be foolish. To be spiritual is to recognize and pay attention to that holistic range of fire, water, earth, and air, and mystery, and what they represent. To be spiritual means to embrace the fullness of life. You can be spiritual saying a prayer. You can be spiritual doing your laundry. So a word I like is practice. It's connected. Practice can be modified by so many words. Sometimes people talk about a spiritual practice, but also a business practice, a musical practice, your yoga practice. And it has like a humble dailiness that the simple action can be. You're just practicing. Then that can help lead you to the connecting to the greater than. Music can transport you. You're working with the tarot on your own or with a client, and it moves you into a feeling of flow. The images and the cards come together in an epiphany of a deep knowing. It doesn't happen every day. You practice. You keep returning. You're practicing. But it can occur. And the more you practice, the more space is opened up.
Does that lead to the idea that practice produces change?
Well, I think so. This idea of can we change? We do change. You know, our body changes every 7 years, they say, the cells. It's like as much as we breathe, but we're not always as aware, and sometimes we don't align with that. But practice is wonderful because it has us practicing, testing out, making little changes in our life. Maybe we add a habit of 10 minutes of meditation, sitting with a tarot card, or maybe even only 2 minutes. That's the only place you can start. Then that little bit of practicing, of bringing new things into your life. So when a sudden change is thrust upon you, when you confront death, an accident, job loss, disappointments, things that come to you. And I've had my own intense experience of that. You have a practice of making the change, and then working with the tarot then becomes this tool that you're familiar with, that is a comfort, that is a friend. I mean, the tarot can also challenge you.
Does tarot actually produce, or can it help produce change?
I think it helps. It sparks within us inspiration. All the suits show us change journeys, and so we can look at them and we can learn. Of course, the major arcana is a radical change journey. You move from like a triumph of the first 7 cards of mastering what's going on in society, and then you're thrust into the wilderness of the strength card, and you're there with a lion. You go through the inner journey, you confront death, and you have another triumph of remaking your life, and then you're introduced to the devil, the shadow, that then becomes your mentor for that really deep journey.
Well, all of those things that tarot includes, the major and the minor combined, will produce for you a change and a spirit, a sense of connection to spirit, assuming that you use it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But not if you don't.
Not if you don't. And, I mean, the tarot can just be very practical, too. You can use it to stimulate, what should I do next?
This is a subject matter that expands almost indefinitely.
Yes.
There is so much to say, and we have, unfortunately, very little time left. But I am delighted that you opened up the subject, and delighted to have been part of opening up the subject. I want to thank you very, very much for what you have done here and for being part of our family at the Reader Studio. So we're looking forward to your being present there and bringing these things in practice to the participants.
You are very welcome, and I am very much looking forward to Reader Studio because it's a place where I learn and I play. And I think play is part of change and spirituality, and that happens for me at the Reader Studio.
That means that there's childlikeness in all of this, which is another whole story altogether. Maybe I should bring that up one day.
Yes.
But anyway, I want to thank everybody for listening, and to be sure to visit readerstudio.com. That's readers with an S, followed by studio, readerstudio.com, to learn more about the event if you're not already familiar with it. So I hope, everybody, that we'll see you in April.